Today we have a Miele dishwasher that has an F08 error, and I suspect we need to change out the heater pressure switch. So I've removed it from the cabinet, I've laid it down on its side, have it unplugged, and I'm taking off these two Torx 15 screws in the front and then two that are on the bottom aspect of the drip pan. So that is going to allow me to get the drip pan off, and then I can easily get to the heater pressure switch. I still have the fill line and the drain line hooked up because they're usually long enough to pull the unit out without having to remove it. So now we have all the important parts of the dishwasher exposed to us. That's the fill line bringing the water in. Just point out a couple of parts here. And here is our heater pressure switch. I just pulled the wires off of the part closest to me, and those wires are white. And behind that, there's a few more wires that we pull off in the same way, and they have black wires. So just remember that the ones furthest from you are the black wires, and the ones closest to you are the white wires. You really can't put these jacks in wrong when you're reassembling because they won't go in wrong. They'll only go in a certain way. So you don't really have to worry about reassembly. It'll just keep trying until they fit in. There's a couple of plastic tabs that are holding on the heater pressure switch. Here's, just point out a couple parts. Here's the drain pump. Here's the run capacitor for your circulation pump. We're going to also be removing and replacing this one today too, because sometimes the F08 can happen when the circulation pump is not able to spin fast enough to cause enough water pressure. And sometimes it can be caused by this switch, this heater pressure switch, which no longer can sense the correct water pressure. So we're kind of wiggling this off. I'm gently prying on the plastic tab that's holding it to the circulation pump. It's just pointing out the run capacitor. I'm going to ground this thing out by putting a standard flat head screwdriver, metal screwdriver, between the two terminals. And to make sure you hold onto the plastic part of the screwdriver, and that gets rid of all the dangerous voltage. It's always a good idea to do. Okay, I'm again back on the heater pressure switch. I'm just going to wiggle it down as I gently pry on these plastic tabs. I don't want to pry back really hard because I don't want to snap them off. There we go. So a little bit of water will come out. Here's our heater pressure switch. I still have the green wire connected. That's the ground wire. And best way to get that off is probably just pull it off with some pliers. Here's the two holes where the water comes in from the circulation pump so it can sense that water pressure. There's a membrane in there. Sometimes that membrane gets kind of cracked or it's not as pliable and it won't give a good reading of pressure to the computer, and that'll cause an F08 error. So could be what's causing it. You can order one of these from Miele USA. Just give them your model number, tell them you need a heater pressure switch. And they're not very expensive. They can send it to you, and you can use this procedure to replace it. There's these little rubber pieces I was just pointing out on the tubes that you can just pull off of the old one and add them onto the new one. Again, here's the wires. The white ones go close to you, and the black ones go further from you. And again, they're really easy to put back in, and they only go in one way, so you can't get it wrong. Just slips right in like that, so it's super easy. In my experience, these heater pressure switches only give us about maybe 6 years of use before they have trouble. I'm using my pliers to pull off the ground connection, the green wire. There's that little membrane behind the tubes, that black thing. And this is the line voltage capacitor. It cleans up the voltage coming in to the dishwasher. And usually you don't have to replace those. Those last pretty much 20 years. There is the run capacitor. I'm going to use a 13 millimeter wrench to get behind it, and I'm going to loosen a little nut. You can look at the line voltage capacitor and see what that nut looks like. But you can't really see this nut because it's out of your view, but it's behind that capacitor. And I'm loosening that. Once you loosen it, just maybe one turn, then you can easily take the whole capacitor and lift it up, and it'll slide off of its bracket. So the bracket's kind of like a U shape, so you can slide it right off. This thing down here is the heater relay, so when the heater pressure switch knows that it has water pressure, it'll send a signal down to this heater relay. I'm just using electrical cleaner to clean the contacts for the heater relay. I'm taking off each one of these one by one, spraying electrical cleaner in there, and then putting them back on. You can get that electrical cleaner at the electrical section at Home Depot. That's pretty good stuff. I'm taking this one off and cleaning it too. This is what brings power to the blower motor that helps your dishwasher dry. This is the power line coming into the circulation pump. I have to pull down a little bit on this tab, and then I can wiggle its connector off too. So this is not super necessary, but sometimes you can develop corrosion, and this electrical cleaner helps. You can spray it on both sides, get rid of any corrosion, and just put it back on. You don't have to let it dry. You just put it back on immediately is okay. Looking for any other of these modular connectors that I can get to easily. Put a little bit of cleaner on that. Just good to do while you have it open. Those are the two contacts for the capacitor. I removed the capacitor, and when you put those back on, you can put either wire on either terminal. So on the capacitor, there's no polarity problem. So you put either wire, will be fine. Making sure all my contacts are nice and tight. So here's pulling off the wires off of the capacitor when you want to switch it out. There's that little nut on the back, goes into that bracket, slides down in, and then you can just tighten it up. And that's the heater relay. And that thing can get worn out or dirty, so sometimes you have to replace that if your water isn't heating up. It sends power here, and that's where you have your round heating element, and that's inside there. And that's your drain motor, that's your sump area, that is your temperature probe, that metal probe you can see when you remove your filter, that metal thing sticking in. That's your flood switch, so if your drip pan gets water in, that thing lifts up and activates the switch. That's your blower motor. That's where the steam comes out. Spray a little more cleaner on all of my contacts. And then I can go ahead and put on my new parts. I can put my capacitor back in, tighten it up, put the wires back on. I can put my heater pressure switch, the new one I got from Miele USA, I can push it into position and then put its wires back on again. And then you're done, and you should have the F08 vanish. I'd like to announce our new channel membership. By joining, you're going to get some really good perks. Number one, you're going to get live help whenever you need it on your appliance problems, either by text, email, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever you want to get your appliance problem resolved. I'll be able to get you any kind of parts diagrams that you need. I'll get you really good deals on parts. I'll send links to you so you can order them and get them probably by the next day to fix your appliance. And all this is only for $4.99. So that'll save you quite a bit of money. And the whole goal of becoming a member with me is that it's going to give you a chance to save a lot of money on the types of appliance repairs that we all run into on a yearly basis. So thanks so much, and please click on the link in the description below, and that's going to allow you to join our channel today, start working on resolving your appliance problem. So thanks again.